are easy and fun to learn. Some programming tasks are performed more easily with pointers. Another task, such as dynamic memory allocation, can be performed without using pointers. So it becomes necessary to learn pointers and to become perfect in C programming. So let's start learning them in simple and easy steps. As you know, every variable is a memory location, and every memory location has its address defined, which can be accessed using the ampersand operator, which denotes an address in a memory. Now consider the following example, which prints the address of the variable defined. So we have the int main, which is the starting of the function. This gives the variable 1 with the memory allocation. We're going to print the memory address of the first variable, which is printed here, and the memory address of the second array, which is variable 2. It will print the base address, which is the very first element of the array, which is FF000BC0. Now that is how we use the ampersand sign. It'll help us in understanding pointers. Now, what are pointers? A pointer is a variable whose value is the address of another variable. That is, direct address of memory location. Like if any variable or constant, you must declare a pointer before using it and store any variable address. The general form of pointer variable declaration is you have type, and then you have the asterisk and the variable name. The asterisk variable name is the pointer variable. Now here, type is the pointer base type. The pointer base type must be valid C data type, and with the variable name as the name of the pointer variable. The asterisk used to declare the pointer is the same asterisk used for multiplication, however. In this statement, the asterisk is used to designate a variable as a pointer. Take a look at the following code example. We have int star IP, which is the int pointer, an integer type pointer, the double type pointer, and float star FP is the float type pointer, and char star ch is character type pointer. Now, there are a few important operations which we'll do with the help of pointers very frequently. That is, we define a pointer variable, we assign the address of the variable to a pointer, and finally access the value of the address available in the pointer variable. This is done by using the unary operator, which is the asterisk, that returns the value of the variable located at the address specified by its operand. The following example makes use of these operations. Okay, now this is a code example of a simple program that explains how the address and the value stored in the address is used in the pointer. So we have we have an integer variable which contains the value 20. Okay, and in the next statement, we're going to print the address stored in the pointer variable, which is the same as that of var, which is the first variable. And now when we use the star IP operator, the asterisk operator, it'll give you the value that is being stored in that variable, the address of the variable. In this case, the address of the variable would be FF000BD4. Then when you print it out, it's 20, which is what the value stored in VR is. But now we have another thing called the null pointer. It is always a good practice to assign null values to a pointer variable in case you don't have an exact address to be assigned. This is done by the time a variable declaration, a pointer that is assigned null. It's called null pointer. The null pointer is a constant with value of 0 defined in several standard libraries. Consider the following program. So the following program, we have a star ptr, which is a null pointer. Now, if you see, the null pointer is now having an address which is null, which is no address at all, which is null, which is no address at all. And if you print the value that is stored, it'll be 0. Now, in the use case of a null pointer is in most of the operating systems, programs are not permitted to access memory of an address 0 because that memory is reserved for the operating system. However, the memory address 0 has special significance. It signals that the pointer is not intended to point to an address or memory location, but by the convention, if a pointer contains the null 0 value, points nothing, Now we have pointer arithmetics, we have the increment pointer. Here's a simple program that explains the null pointer, the incrementing of a pointer. We have int main, we have an array containing 3 elements, which is 10, 100, and 200. And then we're putting it in a for loop, where address is max, the address of the variable that was the first element of the array, which is that, and then it prints the value stored in that using the star PTR. And when we say PTR plus plus, the address of the address stored in the pointer variable is increased by the size of the character. For example, if it's char type variable data structure, then it increases by +1. If it's int, then +2, and so on. So that's a basic example. In the for loop, it keeps printing for the address of each element and then the element stored in that. Now we have decrement pointer in the exact same way, same program, but in this we're going to print in reverse order. So we have the same arrays, which is 10, 100, and 200, but then we're printing it from the end to the beginning. That is, we're taking the address in the PTR variable as the last address of the array, and then we're decrementing it using the decrementing pointer operator, which is PTR minus minus. So as the loop goes on 3 times, we have come back to the base address of the array. Now we have the array of pointers. Now before we understand the concept of array of pointers, let's consider the following example, which uses an array of 3 integers. We have in this function a variable array, which is containing 10, 100, and 200 as the variables, as the variable elements. And we're putting in a loop which has 3 iterations, because max is 3. Now we're printing the address and the value stored. So we have value of 0 is 10, value of 1 is 100, and value of 2 is 200. That's how an array works. Now it declares PTR as an array of max point integer 3. Each element in pointer holds a pointer in its int value. The following example uses 3 integers, which are stored in an array of pointers as follows. So in this code example, we have the star PTR max, and then we're putting inside the loop the PTR max would be the pointed array containing 3 elements, which is 10, 100, and 200, right? And then we're putting it, and then in a for loop containing 3 iterations, we print out, we assign the variables to the pointed arrays. So PTR of 1 would then become the base address of the first one, PTR of 2, PTR of 0 becomes the first one, PTR of 1 becomes the second, and so on. So when we print the values stored in the address of the pointed array, we get the output is 10, 100, and 200, which is the exact same thing which is stored in the array, the integer array. We can do the same thing for storing strings. Now, passing pointers to a function. So C program allows passing a pointer to a function. To do so, simply declare a function parameter as a pointer type. The following is a simple code explaining the same concept. So in this, say we have a function, we have get seconds, which has an long int as the parameter, star per. So in main, have inside long inside, okay, get seconds, number of seconds. So in main, have inside long inside, okay. So in this, in a function called get seconds, we are passing the address of the variable second to it. So when it goes to the function definition, we have the current seconds, okay, which is the parameter which is given. It gets stored in star par. This time of null returns, which is that, and prints the number of seconds right on the screen. Pointer can also accept arrays. This can also accept arrays as the expression. So this example gives you that. So in balance, we have an integer array of 5 elements. We have double average. We have passing it to a function. We have the size of the array. We have for I is the size of the array. We have an iteration. We have a loop that takes place, and returns the average back to the main function. And it's now returning pointers from the function. So we have seen in the above example of how do you pass an array, a pointer to the function. Now let's look at a code example to understand. So in main, we have int star p and I as the variables. Now p is assigned to return the value of a function, which is get random here, which is unsigned time now, gives us current time in the an iteration of random, and this is printing the time after all the iteration is over.